Okay, so I'm going to show you how to check if your alternator's bad while it's still on the car. Okay, so what you do is you're going to turn your voltmeter onto volts. You don't want low volts, you want that. Now you can leave it on automatic ranging, or you can change the range. We change it up to 60 because we're going to be looking for about 12 volts. Okay, so now we're going to hook it up to the battery and see what we got. Okay, so now I'm going to hook up the red lead to the positive side and the black lead to the negative side. As you can see, we've got 12.98 volts. Alright, now we're going to start it up and see what happens. Okay, now that it's running, I'm going to hook it up and we're showing 14 volts. But last night, it seemed like the alternator was going bad, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to turn on some accessories and we're going to see if the alternator can take the extra load. Alright, so now inside the car, we're going to turn the lights on, we're going to turn the heater up, and we're going to see what happens here. Okay, now we're down to 13.8. We're going to let this run for a little bit and we'll see if the alternator can keep up. Now as you can see, it's starting to drop, so we're just going to keep an eye on it. Now like I said, this alternator, I think it's going bad. So in the alternator, there's actually 3 different coils. So you usually won't notice it's going bad until it's winter time and you have the heat running, the windshield wipers, you know, the headlights are on more because it gets dark sooner. So last night I was driving around in the rain with the heat on and I noticed the lights started to get dimmer on the dashboard, and then eventually the battery light came on. So that's why I'm going to be replacing the alternator today. But somehow, magically, the alternator's keeping up. So I think it's just one of the coils might be partially shorted out. As you can see, it is dropping down a little bit here. Alright, I'm going to show you how to check if the alternator you're about to pull from the scrapyard is any good. Alright, so what you're going to need is you're going to need a voltmeter, and you're going to put it onto continuity or diode check, and then you're going to take your leads here and you're going to put the negative on the case of the alternator. Make sure to scratch it so it gets good contact, and then you're going to find the positive lug and you're going to touch it, and your voltmeter should do nothing. Okay, now you're going to switch them. So you're going to put the positive on the case and the negative here. Let's see if I can get this so I can do both at the same time. Okay, now I switched them and make sure we get a good contact. You see we're getting about 0.6, but it's all that corrosion on there. Okay, so I have the positive on the case, the negative on the lug there. We're looking at about 0.5. And I'm going to get a better shot of switching them. Okay, now with the positive lead on the lug and the negative lead on the case, you should see open loop. When you have the positive on the case and the negative on the lug, if it doesn't do anything, the alternator is not good. So another thing you want to check, this is the good one. Make sure it spins real good. Now if you see this one, it gets stuck. It'll spin good, then it gets stuck and you can't even turn it. So that's definitely no good. The bearings are starting to get shot. There's like a sticky spot right there. But this one turns real good. So this is the one that I'm gonna get. You don't hear any noises, it just spins real smooth. Alright, so we're going to start off by removing the negative battery cable. In this case, it is a 13 millimeter. Okay. So it won't reconnect. And this is the alternator. So you're going to start off by removing this dust cap and taking off that 10 millimeter, and then we're going to remove this dust cap, which has the electrical connector on it. So we're going to do that. Okay, then we're going to remove this little rubber boot. And there's two tabs. There's one here and there's one on the back side. You can try and get it with your fingers, but I'm going to use a pair of pliers. Be gentle because this is plastic and it's brittle and it breaks real easy. So we're just going to squeeze it gently and wiggle it out. Okay. Okay, the next step is to loosen this 14 millimeter bolt. See, it's right here. That's the one. That's a 14 millimeter. You can use a regular wrench for this. This just saves a ton of time. Alright, now we're going to leave that in. We're not going to take it all the way out. Alright, so next we're going to be removing this bolt right here, the one that I got this side. That one. And that's right underneath the alternator. And that one is a 12 millimeter, so we're going to do that now. We're going to do the same thing. We're not going to loosen this one all the way just yet. Okay, then on the front, right underneath the alternator, right here, is your tensioner belt. Or tensioner bolt, I'm sorry. That's how you're going to loosen the belt and get the alternator the rest of the way off. So we're going to loosen that one now. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. And again, this one is a 10 millimeter. As you loosen this one, the alternator will move down and the belt will get looser. I feel like this is taking forever. Hold on. Oh yeah, now we're talking, baby. We've got the fuel. Focus. As you can see, the alternator is moving down as I loosen this. And then take her all the way out. Okay. As you can see here, the belt is just about falling off. We can just take it right off for now. And this belt's pretty simple. You're going to remember how it goes, but there's only 3 pulleys that it goes on, so it should be relatively easy. Alright, now that we got the tensioner bolt out, we're going to finish taking out this 14 millimeter and then the one on the bottom, the 12 millimeter. So I'm going to do that now. top bolt out. And we're gonna go get that 12 millimeter out of the bottom. Okay, so I actually had to put the tensioner bolt back in to get this 12 millimeter out because it was spinning on the other side. So I just turned that in a few turns. Let's see if we can see it down there. See, that's what it holds on to right there. And now that that's screwed in just a couple of turns, I should be able to loosen it out of there. Okay, I got that nut off. Now we're going to take this tensioner bolt back out, and we should be able to just wiggle this right out of here. Now you might have to put a screwdriver here or a stick or anything and just pry it out a little, but I think this one's going to just come right out. So I got the belt out of the way. Okay, now this little thing is holding it in down here, this little pin. That's actually what the tensioner screws into, so we're just going to pull that out. Okay, so that's what that looks like. You can see where it screws in. Alright, we got it out. Set her down on the sidewalk. Okay, so this is the new one I got. Well, it's not new, but it's used. Because this car is just to get me from A to B, and this is the cheapest way. I already took this to AutoZone. They tested it for me for free. Turns out it was good. Oh, let me flip it over. There's the part number. It's an OEM alternator, and now we're going to put it in. Now you're going to want to clean up where it bolts onto the bracket, because that's actually where it grounds. So use a wire brush or a piece of paper or something. Just stuff them up so there's clean surfaces on there. Alright, so I'm going to clean this up a little bit, and then we'll get it in. Alright, so I got those mounting areas cleaned up a little bit. And if you are getting the junkyard one, you might want to clean up some of the rust around this pulley. This one's not that bad, so you might want to just take some wire brush to that. And the same thing here, see all this grime. Looks like my power steering pump is leaking a little bit, but you're going to want to clean that up a little bit if you can. Like I said, that's where the ground actually connects to the block, so we're going to clean that up too. Okay, now we're going to put the old one in just the same way the old one, or put the new one in the same way the old one came out. And I'm going to put the bottom in first. Try sticking the top one in to kind of keep it in its place. This is the 14 millimeter. We got the top 14 millimeter bolt in, and then we put that tensioner bolt down here. Now I'm going to try and put that the tensioner adjuster, this one that goes on the bottom. Oh, after I drop it. Okay, back from crawling underneath the car. Put this back on. And you just want to get it started. You just want to get a couple of turns. Okay, now I got this tensioner on a couple of turns. I'm just going to run it down a little bit. Oh, and I went the wrong way. Fuck. Okay, now make sure you've got the ratchet on the right direction and tighten it down a couple of turns so it doesn't go anywhere. Okay, now that we have the tensioner in, you see now it's connected to that by a few turns. We are going to tighten up the 14 millimeter. We're going to tighten up the 14 millimeter. Okay, then the next thing we got to do is the 12 millimeter down at the bottom there. Oh, and before I forget, and I tighten the tensioner all the way down, don't forget to slip this belt back around your pulley here. Okay, and then you're going to want to make sure that you look down it, make sure it's still on the pulley, the crank pulley down there. Make sure it's still on the AC pulley. See, that came off a little bit. Make sure that's all lined up. Now we're going to get that 12 millimeter bolt down here. Okay, here's the 12 millimeter nut. Now if it looks rustier than before, it's because I lost the other one and I just found this one in my toolbox. Alright, let's... Okay, now you don't want to tighten up that 12 millimeter bolt and the 14 millimeter bolt all the way up just yet. Like I said, obviously the belt fell off again here. So we're going to put this belt back on. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to look down here, make sure that it's still on. Okay, and we're going to look down here, and it's off, so we're just going to move it over a little bit. Make sure it's still on all the way down there. And it is. Okay, now here is where we're going to set the tension. We are going to be tightening this 10 millimeter nut for tension. Now make sure you have the wrench on tighten and not loosen, and you're going to run this down. Here, keep an eye on that belt. You see it's getting tighter, and make sure it stays in place. Okay, so you're just going to want to twist it. You see, this is still way too loose. Now you don't want to go too tight because you can actually wear out the bearings on your pulleys. And it's kind of a feel thing. And you shouldn't be able to twist the belt more than halfway. You also don't want it to slip every time you hit a puddle. You don't want it so tight it's going to blow your bearings out of here. Okay. So now this is what I was talking about. When you're looking at this belt straight on, you should not be able to twist it more than 90 degrees. Let me see if I can get a better shot. Alright, you see that? It won't go to 90 degrees. And it's still on all the pulleys, nice and straight. So I would say that's good. Now, we just got to do the final tighten on the 14 millimeter and the 12 millimeter bolt, and then we're good. Okay, now that one's tight. Okay, now the bottom one is tight, the 12 millimeter. Now we are going to reconnect our connectors here. So we have this one, and it should only go one way. You can see the plug will only go in one way. And I also have a little bit of this stuff, this QD electronic cleaner. It's a little bit of cheap insurance, you know, it can't hurt. Give it a little shake, and make sure to spray it right into your eyeballs, I mean the connector. And spray a little bit on there too. And while we're at it, we might as well spray this guy, and this guy. And that shit dries pretty quick, so we'll just give it a couple of seconds. Alright, that should be good enough. We're gonna plug this guy in. Okay. Oh. And put the boot back on it. And then I'll take this nut back off, the 10mm nut. And peel back the little rubber condom here. And put the nut back on. And now for this one, you're going to want to get the biggest impact you have and just run it down until it stops, and then hold it for another 3 seconds or so. Nah, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. Just hand tight with the little baby ratchet. It's just copper, brass. You don't want to go nuts. Just snug enough that it won't go anywhere. Click. And I think that's it. Bob's your uncle. The only thing we got left to do is hook up the battery, and then we're ready to take it for a cruise. A little tappy tap tap. Then you're going to want to finish this off with the impact. Almost got you again. Alright, I think we're ready to get going here. Alright, now let's cross our fingers here. Let's see, what are the odds it's going to do half a turn, fart, and let the smoke out? Let's see. Okay. No battery light, that's a good sign. Alright, let's make sure that belt didn't come flying off. Okay. Belt looks like it's on there nice and straight. Let's see what the voltmeter says. Alright, so she's running 14.5 volts. I don't remember what the other one was, but I think that's higher. Let's load it up and let's see what it... Okay, so same as before. Let's crank the heater up to 11, even though it only goes to 4. Turn the lights on, and let's see what you got. Okay, so already better, right off the hop. The last one was at 13.7 or 13.8. So that one definitely had a bad coil, or 2 bad coils, who knows. But the lights are on, and yeah, this alternator is way better than the other one. That one must have been shit in the bed. And while we're at it, we might as well spray a little bit of this shit on there. See if I can't get this in my eye. Alright, sweet. We got no battery light. Lights are on. We got the heat cranking. She is driving sweet. Perfect. Well, if you guys have any questions or comments or need help, just leave a comment below and I'll get back to you. Alright, so I just got back. I thought I heard something clunking around down there in the front. Oh, that'll probably do it. Whoops.